Dry. Okay, we're starting.
Oh, is it time?
Yeah.
Please take your seats for today's UN Day celebrations.
Welcome, distinguished guests, parents, UNIS Hanoi faculty and staff, UNIS Hanoi alumni, and most importantly, welcome UNIS Hanoi students from 67 different nations.
Welcome to our UN Day celebration in this our 31st year of learning to inspire in partnership with the United Nations and Vietnam. My name is Uyên Chinh.
I am Buemong Iskandar.
I am Shin Chini.
I am Toddy Anderson Ibarra. We are all honored to be your Masters of Ceremony today for UNIS Hanoi's 31st UN Day celebrations. But before we start, some housekeeping notices.
In the unlikely event of an emergency, a path will be cleared for all emergency exits, both at the front and rear of the sports center. Please use the exit closest to you and follow any instructions you are given.
And a note to all proud parents. We will respectfully ask you to stay in your seats throughout the ceremony. Turn off the sound on your phones and limit your filming and photography. We are live streaming the assembly today, and all the professional photographs that are taken will be made available for you free of charge. Thank you for your understanding.
Now please stand for the Vietnamese national anthem, Tiến Quân Ca, performed by Quân Pham from grade 12 and Phương Trần from grade 9 with the UNIS Hanoi Symphonic Orchestra.
I need to go to my flag.
Đoàn quân Việt Nam đi, chung lòng yêu quốc, bước chân rộn vang trên đường gầm ghềnh xa. Cởi mau chiến thắng mang hồn nước, sông ngoài xa trên khúc quân hành ca. Đường mình từng xây xa quân thù, gian lao cùng nhau lập chiến khu, vì nhân dân chiến thắng không ngừng. Tiến mau ra xa trường tiến lên, cùng tiến lên, nước non Việt Nam ta vững bền.
Thank you, Quân Pham, Phương Trần, and the UNIS Symphonic Orchestra. Today, we celebrate 31 years since UNIS Hanoi was founded as one of only 2 UN international schools in the world, as well as the way in which our identity as a United Nations school impacts our lives every day.
In honor of this historic moment and to remind us all of the different ways that we embody the variety that the world has to offer, please celebrate with us our Parade of Nations, which recognizes all 195 member and observer states of the United Nations, from Afghanistan to Zimbabwe.
Should we sit down? All right. UNIS Hanoi truly brings the world together every day. All these countries you see before you are working together for a better world. Today, we celebrate unity in diversity and all that can be achieved when we work as one.
And especially today, on UNIS Hanoi's 31st UN Day, we celebrate those 67 nations that are represented in the multicultural mosaic of our school community.
Join us in recognizing each nation, starting with Angola,
Argentina,
Australia,
Austria,
Azerbaijan,
Bangladesh,
Belarus,
Belgium,
Bosnia and Herzegovina,
Brazil,
Brunei Darussalam,
Cambodia,
Canada,
China,
Colombia,
Cyprus,
Czech Republic,
Denmark,
Ethiopia,
Fiji,
Finland,
France,
Germany,
Ghana,
Guatemala,
Hungary,
India,
Indonesia,
Ireland,
Israel,
Italy,
Japan,
Kenya.
Kuwait,
Now People's Democratic Republic,
Latvia,
Malawi,
Malaysia,
Mexico,
Mongolia,
Morocco,
Netherlands,
New Zealand,
Norway,
Peru,
Philippines,
Poland,
Portugal,
Republic of Korea,
Romania,
Russian Federation,
Singapore,
Slovakia,
South Africa,
Spain,
Sri Lanka,
Sweden,
Switzerland,
Thailand,
Turkey,
Uganda,
Ukraine,
United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland,
United Republic of Tanzania,
United States of America,
Vietnam,
Zimbabwe,
the United Nations,
the United Nations International School of Hanoi.
Sorry.
Oh, that is mine, that is mine. Good job. Now? And now, we are delighted to welcome to the stage our first speaker, United Nations Resident Coordinator in Vietnam, Mr. Kemal Malhotra.
Thank you.
Mr. Malhotra has been working with the UN Development Program for nearly 20 years. He has been the program's representative and the UN Resident Coordinator in both Malaysia and Turkey prior to his arrival in Vietnam. Please welcome Mr. Malhotra.
Mr. To An Zung, Assistant Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ms. Ami Polak, Chair of the UNIS Board of Directors, Ms. Jane McGee, Head of UNIS, faculty, staff, and students of UNIS, parents and family members, and friends from the international community. I'm honored to be with you once again for UNIS's UN Day commemoration, which today is celebrating the 73rd anniversary of the founding of the United Nations on October 24th, 1945. Let me begin by saying how struck I am by all of the color I see here today. Your flag parade was visually stunning as I looked across the crowd and saw the many colors of the flags and national dress. I'm happy to see the flags of all of the 193 member states of the United Nations represented in the room, as well as entities with UN observer status. Even though UNIS Hanoi has student representation from 67 UN member states. And that alone is an impressive number for any school in the world. The UN was founded on the understanding that no matter how big or small, all nations have value and dignity and deserve equal respect. And that's why it's so important that on days like today, we recognize all member states, and I'm happy to have seen the students doing such an excellent job of that today. I would also like to say that it is a privilege to be able to be in a room so rich in the diversity of the nationalities and cultures of the world under one roof. The UNIS community reminds me, as our United Nations Charter reminds all of us, that our diverse backgrounds are a strength and a cause for celebration. That we and the world are better working together rather than as separate nations or people. Just as we share this space and celebrate UN Day here together, it was just over 73 years ago in 1945 that 51 nations came together to sign the UN Charter, our guiding document that describes our vision for countries uniting together to promote peace and security, human rights, and a better life for all people. Its principles and values continue to reflect the common aspirations of the We the Peoples, which are its first three words. Over the last 73 years, the United Nations has grown to include 193 member states who have come together to establish unprecedented new international norms and standards on a wide array of important issues, and also committed to many international agreements which seek to ensure global peace and security, progress in the fight for equality between people, but also to protect human rights, promote social and economic development, and to help people escape poverty. One such document, which I want to single out and highlight today, both because it is one of the most important documents ever written and because we will celebrate its 70th anniversary on December 10 this year, less than 2 weeks from now, is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the UDHR. I want to highlight it also not just because this timeless and universally applicable declaration is recognized as the single most important statement of the rights of every person on our planet, but also because so much of what it stands for is under threat in our world today. We must all stand united and ensure its progressive and universal realization. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, coming to the relationship between the United Nations and Vietnam, the UN has had a special history with Vietnam, which includes UNIS's role as one of the only 2 such schools in the world, the other being in New York. After the end of the war in 1975, United Nations agencies were amongst the first international partners on the ground to support Vietnam with humanitarian assistance. Since that time, the UN has helped Vietnam resolve some of the most severe consequences of the war, helping the country transform from what was once an impoverished society into a modern, dynamic nation. I have personally been privileged to witness and contribute to some of this transformative change from when I first visited Vietnam in 1989 and on many subsequent visits in every decade since. The positive changes I have seen since 1989 are remarkable and almost without precedent or comparison in other parts of the world during the same period. And when I look back on the Vietnam's 40-plus years of joining with the United Nations as a member state in September 1977, it is clear that by working together, the United Nations and Vietnam have shown that sometimes out of terrible events can come vision, hope, transformation, and a genuinely positive story. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, the world is also at one of those crossroads and transformative junctures when the efforts we make at this stage can help ensure a positive future for you and future generations. I'm specifically referring to the UN's Agenda 2030. In 2015, all 193 UN member states, including Vietnam, adopted a global agenda for sustainable development, including 17 Sustainable Development Goals, known as the SDGs, with leaving no one behind as their centerpiece. As UNIS students, I know you are guided by these goals and the UN's values of peace, freedom, human dignity, justice, and respect, all elements that are at the core of the UN's Sustainable Development Agenda to leave no one behind. Dear students, you are coming of age in an era where young people have more opportunities and means to travel the world than ever before. You will learn about different cultures, but also the inequalities and other global challenges we all confront. But you will also have more opportunities and channels to express your ideas than previous generations, as new communication channels and technologies transcend the barriers of language and location. We are in an exciting time in which many of the traditional limits on global connectedness, information, and action can be stretched or even broken to allow leapfrogging and new possibilities. Your voices need to be heard and will play a big role in building the kind of world we all want to see. A world which achieves the Sustainable Development Goals and leaves no one behind. A world that values equality and has eradicated extreme poverty by 2030. A world without war or conflict. And a world that values the environment and addresses the challenges of climate change. I would like to encourage you to embrace and address these challenges in the spirit of the United Nations Charter, and to continue your efforts in learning about the UN's principles and work and sharing them widely. But while you must always think big and globally, you should also think and act locally. Each one of you can start with individual actions. I've seen very impressive work by UNIS students taking an active role in raising awareness, reducing the use of and cleaning up single-use plastics, items such as straws that you use once and then throw away. This is just one example of the role that individuals and small groups can play. By being aware and taking action, you can have an individual impact on how the world changes. In celebrating the 73rd anniversary of the United Nations, let's celebrate and further increase the UN spirit of cooperation and its values and principles in the school. Look around you and start with your neighbors in this room. I hope that you are convinced, as am I, that you will be better working together than individually. Just as the UN aspires to leave no one behind, ask yourselves what you can do to help the people around you. On UNIS's UN Day and every day of the year, treat others with kindness, dignity, and respect. Invite someone to play with you that you have never played with before. Have lunch with someone new. Pick a different partner. Embrace the diversities and differences of the people around you and take in a new point of view. Challenge yourself to think about what is ethical and right. Every time you do these things, you are both individually and collectively making a contribution to the UN Charter's dream of making the world a better place, a kinder place, and a more hopeful place. As we stand among the flags of the UN member states, I am pleased to look across this bright gathering and see such a strong force for good. On behalf of all my United Nations colleagues in Vietnam, let me wish everyone here at UNIS a memorable and happy UN Day. I thank you. Sin Kamon.
Thank you, Mr. Malhotra. And now to celebrate the rich culture of our own United Nations, our high school students will perform the first of 3 dances celebrating our global connections, starting of course with our home country, Vietnam. Please welcome our dancers for the Conical Hat Dance, which celebrates rural life, and in this interpretation combines modern music with a traditional dance.
Thank you, high school dancers. UNIS Hanoi was created in partnership with the Vietnamese government to assist in their efforts in building the nation that Vietnam has become today. We are delighted to welcome our next speaker, Assistant Minister To Anh Dung from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. His Excellency, Mr. Dung, also a UNIS Hanoi parent, has held numerous positions with the government, including Vietnamese ambassador to Canada. Please welcome Mr. Dung.
Mr. Kemal Malhotra, UN Resident Coordinator in Vietnam, Ms. Jane McGee, Head of UNIS Hanoi, distinguished guests, dear parents and students, friends. I am honored and delighted to join you all here today to celebrate the United Nations Day. I am particularly excited to be part of this rich program that you have helped put together. The Parade of Nations and the Conical Hat Dance that we have just seen are truly emblematic of how Vietnam is part of this united family of nations, how UNIS Hanoi has become a part of this country, and how each and every one of you, students, teachers, and staff, is part of this great UNIS family. This year's UN Day is all the more special as UNIS celebrates its 30th birthday. Looking back at this 30-year-long journey, we are all amazed at how far UNIS has traveled and how much it has done in this endeavor to bring world-class education to Vietnamese and international students, to impart the values of United Nations, and to build a lasting bridge of friendship between Vietnam and the world. What started off 30 years ago in a borrowed classroom with only 13 students has now flourished to become this lively campus, each day welcoming over 1,100 students from nearly 70 nations. Generations of UNIS students have received the best education, inspired to build a better world for all, and I am sure have all become independent, lifelong learners and responsible stewards of our global society and natural environment. Indeed, UNIS has proven itself as an incubator of future leaders who are buzzing with innovative and groundbreaking ideas and armed with endless energy. We should all be proud of this tremendous accomplishment of UNIS' past 30 years of learning to inspire. Distinguished guests, dear friends, UNIS has not grown in a vacuum. The growth of this only UN school outside New York is inseparable from the development of its host country, Vietnam. Over the past 30 years, Vietnam has made tremendous progress in social, economic development, eradication of poverty, improvement of healthcare and education, and bringing a better life for its millions of people. Vietnam has achieved most of Millennium Development Goals and is now determined to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. All these accomplishments are attributable to the successful partnership that Vietnam has been enjoying with the United Nations and all countries represented here at UNIS. For its part, Vietnam has always put cooperation with the UN as one of the top priorities in its foreign policy. As an active and responsible member of the United Nations, Vietnam has contributed to global efforts to maintain international peace and security and promote friendly relations and cooperation among nations. I am confident that Vietnam and the UN will continue working together for the good not only the Vietnamese people, but also for the common good of the world. Looking toward the future, it is my hope that UNIS Hanoi will continue to strive for a silent learning and a connected learning community, and to foster a sense of individual and collective responsibility amongst all members of UNIS Hanoi. It is also my hope that as you work to achieve this important goal, UNIS Hanoi will continue to contribute to Vietnam education reform efforts, as well as support disadvantaged students and schools, especially those in rural and mountainous areas. On our part, I can assure you of the commitment of the government of Vietnam and the Foreign Ministry to continue to extend our full support to the school to best facilitate its work and operation. Let me end by extending to the leadership, teachers, staff, and students of UNIS Hanoi my best wishes for your good health and success, especially to you, dear students. I wish you an academic year full of excitement, learning and fun, exploration and experiments, innovation and new frontiers. Thank you.
Trân trọng cảm ơn ông Tô Anh Dũng. Thank you, Mr. Dũng, for your kind words.
And now we welcome our high school dancers back to the stage for two dances of their own choreography. First, a modern interpretation of a traditional European ballroom dance, adding a twist of pop culture to 18th century formality.
And to follow, a fusion of hip-hop with traditional African dance from Ethiopia, Kenya, and Nigeria to create a dance that starts with rivalry and ends in unity.
D'un petit hôtel, y a une fille, y a une fille aux yeux de ciel. Tra-la-la-la-la. Dans le petit hôtel, un garçon emmène la fille aux yeux de ciel. D'un petit hôtel, y a une fille, y a une fille aux yeux de ciel. Tra-la-la-la-la. Dans le petit hôtel, un garçon emmène la fille aux yeux de ciel.
Right. It's an African one. Yeah.
Beats by Amateur.
Yeah, me I like it. Something so. This my African hands, them gon' love you. Yeah. My African lips, them gon' kiss you. Whoa. My African hips get down to you. Whoa. My African legs, them gon' run to you. Whether you come here to break dance, I bet you come here to shake hands. You come here to make plans. Never would it reach as motherland.
All the girls they dance galala. All the students don't cross casola. For this dance you don't do sagara. Oh yeah, like that, like that, like that, like that. To your right, to the front, to the back. Okay, what to do, man? Baby, I'm tired to love you, man. Say you want to dance, man. You want all the money from my band.
I've been up to find food. Everything they owe. Never would it reach as motherland. Anywhere you go, London, USA. Nowhere be like Africa. Nowhere be like home. Anywhere you go, New York, Chicago. Nowhere be like Africa. Nowhere be like home.
Cheesy, easy. Oh yeah,
Thank you, high school dancers, for that celebration across both continents and time. We continue our celebration with a special message for you all from our very own head of school, Miss Jane McGee.
Good morning. Mr. Kemal Malhotra, United Nations Resident Coordinator in Vietnam, His Excellency Mr. Zung, Assistant Minister of Foreign Affairs, members of the Board of Directors, faculty and staff, parents and family members, special guests, and UNIS Hanoi students. To quote Antonio Guterres, the Secretary General of the UN, United Nations Day marks the birth of the founding charter, the landmark document that embodies the hopes, dreams, and aspirations of we the peoples. Every day, the women and men of the UN work to give practical meaning to that charter. So that's it. That is why we are here today, to say happy birthday to the UN, to an organization that works every day for the hopes of all of humanity, no matter what the odds. But of course, I'm a learner and a teacher. I needed to learn a little bit more about this day by doing some research. So, like the high school students in this room who have just finished their EE, I turned right to Wikipedia. Here is what they say. United Nations Day is devoted to making known to people of the world the aims and achievements of the UN organization. And several international schools throughout the world also celebrate the diversity of the student body, although the event is not often held on October 24th. Celebrations include a show of cultural performances, a food fair, where food is available from all over the world. Sound familiar? Like other international schools, we celebrate the UN, its mission, and also our diversity as a school. At UNIS, though, we are a little bit different, and the difference is right there in our name. This year, at UNIS Hanoi, closely aligned with our name, we have chosen to celebrate the day similar to other international schools, the IS in UNIS. But because of the UN part of our name, we have also chosen to celebrate this day along with the UN goal to inspire and equip young people to build a better world. To not only say happy birthday to the UN, but to make known the goals of the UN, to not only celebrate our diversity, but to take action. The UN in UNIS. This past week, the SDG goals have been embedded in student learning throughout the school. These goals are hard to achieve. They take a lot of work, and they can't be accomplished in a day. Many of you, the students in front of me, have been learning about how small changes can make a big difference, how a teaspoon of change, whether it is ideas, attitudes, or actions, can have an impact over time. So, I want all of you to think about this for a minute. How big is a teaspoon? Imagine that. How many students are in this room? Raise your hand if you're a student. Thank you. How many faculty and staff members are in this room? Raise your hand if you're faculty or staff. How many community members are in this room? Raise your hands. In the UNIS community alone, there are over 2,500 members. So now, let's imagine 2,500 teaspoons. Let's use our imagination to measure change. Let's talk about plastic bags. If everyone in our community refrains from using a plastic bag once, today, we have saved 2,500 plastic bags. If everyone refrains from ordering a takeaway smoothie, or a coffee in a paper cup, or a plastic cup, that is 2,500 fewer paper or plastic cups. If all of you shorten your shower by 2 minutes, that saves 40,000 liters of water in one day. When we look at a teeny tiny teaspoon and we multiply that by 2,500 UNIS Hanoi community members, we have over 12 liters of change. 2,500 bags, 2,500 cups, and 40 liters of water. One school community, one day. For those of you in the room, especially our students, who haven't taken action, Let's consider a process. First, choose an SDG. Let's look at a couple of them to make it a little bit easier. Responsible consumption and production. It is about considering what you really need, about not using more than you need, about not wasting when you build something or cook something. Climate change. It is about making sure that what you do doesn't contribute to pollution, whether it is paper waste or waste from driving a car too much. Peace, justice, and strong institutions. This is really important. It is all about caring, treating other people with respect, and building groups to help people like your student council, your service groups, or the school itself. Step 2, when you leave today, read The Lazy Person's Guide to Saving the World. Yes, it's a real thing, and it's on the UN website. It will tell you little steps you can take to make an impact towards the goals. I found out, personally, that I model many actions of a sofa superstar and a household hero with little to no effort at all. There are so many suggestions on that site that talk about a teaspoon of change, and I know all of you have many more. I've seen them this week. As a new head of school, one of my goals has been to find out more about you. So in the last few months, I've been watching what you do, what you say, and how you act. Here are some of the things I have seen that you have done that make a difference. A screening of plastic oceans translated into Vietnamese, a project initiated by our students. Swim for Life students teaching local children a life skill. The SDG Guardians, bringing awareness to the Hanoi community through a Truth and Dare game at the HIWC Bazaar. The establishment of the UNIS Community-Wide Sustainable Committee and their work to lay a foundation for the future of sustainability practices. Older students mentoring younger students through the ES Buddy program. UNIS faculty and staff leading through modeling each and every day. However, I have also noticed some other things. Doors open with the AC turned on. Ordering food or lunch from off campus that arrives in plastic bags and plastic containers. Small moments when we aren't very accepting of other students, or we are in such a rush that we forget to say hi to one another and acknowledge one another. So, the third step of the process is for all of you, students and community members, to accept a challenge to take action, at least one action, 1 teaspoon. But my challenge is to choose something that will be difficult for you, that will get you off the super sofa couch, one that is inconvenient, one that will change your words, actions, and also encourage you to think and reflect on the impact of your actions. Look around you. All of us in this room are very, very privileged. Privileged to be part of this community with access to healthcare, food, clean water, financial security, but most importantly, education. Through education, one of the SDGs, you will be equipped to make a difference. You will be equipped to make the world a better place, and you will be equipped to solve the world's problem. The question that needs to be asked to each of us is, will you? I believe the answer is yes. So today, enjoy celebrating UN Day as both an international school, pause here, and as a UN school. Celebrate UNIS today by taking action. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McGee, for encouraging us to go outside our comfort zones in our quest for a better world. And now, please get ready for a performance by our middle and high school choir, accompanied by our IB diploma musicians. Hey, I'm done. I want to see this.
Super. Well done, everybody.
Thank you.
Or a drug. You could be the outcast or be the backlash of somebody's lack of love. Or you can start speaking up. It's gonna hurt you the way the words do when they settle beneath your skin. Kept it on the inside and no sunlight, sometimes a shadow wins. But I wonder what would happen if you say what you wanna say and let the words fall out. Honestly, I wanna say be brave with what you wanna say and let the words fall out. Honestly, I wanna say be brave.
Somebody's back to love. Got sunlight, somebody's back of love. Don't run, stop holding your tongue.
Maybe there's a way out of the cage where you live. Maybe one of these days you can let the light in. Show me how big your brave is. Say what you wanna say and let the words fall out. Honestly, I wanna see you be brave with what you wanna say and let the words fall out. Honestly, I wanna see you be brave. Innocent is your history of silence. Won't do you any good. Did you think it would? Let your words be anything but empty. Why don't you tell them the truth? Oh, say what you wanna say and let the words fall out. Honestly, I wanna see you be brave with what you wanna say and let the words fall out. Honestly, I wanna see you be brave with what you wanna say and let the words fall out. Honestly, I wanna see you be brave with what you wanna say and let the words fall out.
Honestly,
I wanna see you be brave with what you wanna say and let the
Thank you, middle and high school choir. Our final speaker will bring a UNIS Hanoi student perspective to our celebrations. Please welcome to the stage 12th grader Sonia Koroleva, who has written an original poem to share with us today.
A poem that I wrote, which I will be sharing with you today, is titled, "And That's My Thought." What is the point of a person on this planet? What is the point of a person, period? In a universe that's big, so infinite, why does one plan something so definite like economic theories to put down inflation or raise the GDP when one could just ignore the world and spit on the socially set ideals? It sounds scary when 7 billion say phrases like the whole world, but that's the point. The universe is big, so infinite that this planet is definitely not even remotely close to being the whole world. I'm not promoting the global chaos that will follow the rejection of the norms. No one should kill or hurt or steal from one another or cause any kind of moral storms, because not everyone you know feels any form of this remorse for what the future holds. Wars and crimes, staged political debates over dimes, the death of nature over time. It's sad that extracting oil from the soil and spilling it into oceans is one of our humanity's prime devotions. However, there's a flip side to the story, and allegories authors use to portray life don't always have to be a strife. Life can improve eventually, but it is voluntarily or uncontrollably we forcefully can try to educate, convince, persuade the people to take some legal measures to do what's best for all. But worldly brawls won't end with someone's obligatory drawls. Life's not a game in which we are just dolls. There has to be a call to action to get any positive reactions. Stop trying to conceal the deal our hearts of steel refuse to feel and face the problem that's surreal. It's selfish to neglect a future with potential to be pure. That possible success makes me sure that in one's thoughts that are obscure, they'll find a cure to find allure in life again. Since by choosing to ignore this timeless war, the escape of fear you seek is undetermined. I certainly assure you that catalyzing change will only come from analyzing ranges of mistakes without holding brakes on criticisms, as it will better all of our moral organisms. And to conclude, I require every person in this room to acquire a better positive perspective on their presence. In essence, oppose or collaborate with fate. Recreate rules, cease schools, do deeds that make you drool of pleasure, but also of reasonable measures. Respect responsibilities, heal hostilities, and link your liabilities with fun. Use every single one of these opportunities you're given, as not all men and women are able to fulfill all of their visions. At the end of the day, this current life of yours is our best shot at progress. And that's my thought. Thank you.
Oh my God, that's not us. Dad, I stepped on my own dress.
Thank you, Sonia. And now for the finale to our 31st year UN Day celebration. Our elementary students will perform our closing number, You're the Voice. And for this performance, our singers from Discovery to Grade 5 will be joined by musicians from middle and high school. Please remain in your seats and welcome our elementary school mass choir.
stuck on a staple.
Thank you.
Oh my god, all these kids are gonna come up on the stage. You're
Yeah.
kidding. No way.
Yeah.
There's no way. Link liabilities, I like that.
Huh?
I like her alliteration.
Yeah, it's
It's
good.
good.
Yeah.
And I think the words themselves are okay, but the way she, like, it's her delivery that was really good. Like, I think the message was clear, like, it was good, but it was the way she delivered it was so good.
Delivery is so important.
Yeah, delivery is so important. Shove it in their faces, sorry.
Yeah.
Is it on?
Yeah, I think so.
Hey, what?
It looks so good today. I like your dress.
I haven't seen it.
I like your dress. It's just the fit. It's nice. Scuffed up.
How many kids?
We're gonna have to wait for them to leave and then we go. Do we go up in front? Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Oh, they're staying.
Oh, they're staying. Thank God.
Okay. Then they clear. All right.
Just come back here for 2 minutes before you take off.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to have to do my parents stay in your seats. So just wait for me here until I'm done.
All right. Yeah.
What you wanna say? Let your words fall out. You know what that hoodie is? The red and white and yellow. What? Are you friends with Dana?
Huh?
Are you friends with Dana? You just know it. What the heck?
Yeah. I know my flag.
There you go.
Sure.
What about
Big one.
that one?
Which one?
The one, not like she's the blue and black one. Next one next to it.
Yeah. Okay.
Would you think this from this side or that side? So how would you look at like?
Let him know.
Thank you for that uplifting finale to our wonderful UN Day celebrations. With the United Nations working together, the world we want can truly be ours.
We also thank the countless number of people that have worked so hard to build the memories we will all share of today.
Our 31st UN Day celebrations.
And now, as we close our celebrations for the day, please remain seated as we hand over to our Director of Advancement, Ms. Emma Silva, for some important announcements.
Thank you all for coming. See you next year.